Happy New Year for tomorrow, everyone. Now, TikTok is of course a haven for misinformation, but recently I've noticed it starting to spread to Instagram. I often find short videos on either platforms which are very good for short bite-sized debunkings which I can make into a YouTube short. However, sometimes you come across things a little bit longer and it's maybe more than misinformation. It's some of the funniest misunderstanding you'll ever see. You can't miss this one. Roll the titles. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a huge thank you to the sponsors of this video, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable, encrypting all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensuring your IP address remains hidden to make sure no one can see what you do online. On top of that, they block ads, trackers, malware and phishing attempts, and unlike other VPN services, you can use it on as many devices as you want simultaneously. Now, I personally spend as much time online as I do sleeping, around 6 to 8 hours per day. Always do, this is the nature of the job. The internet knows a hell of a lot about you, and it's why we should care about our online data. Now, you can use Surfshark to encrypt your personal information and send it via a secure VPN tunnel so no one can see it without your permission, which is great for protecting things like your ID. ID theft is an increasingly common and scary crime. Now, you can use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. HackLock will scan various databases of leaked information and then notify its users if their data is found so they can take action. Go to surfshark.com/SimonDan for 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Right, on with today's video, which comes from a man on Instagram called IndyGok12. Now, he seems to have an issue with a few things, notably the moon, the sun, light in general. And in a recent series on Instagram, he tries to explain why it's not possible to send lasers to the moon. Unfortunately, he gets a bit confused. Let's join him as he does some research.
This photograph shows a laser ranging facility at the Goddard Geophysical and Astronomical Observatory in Greenbelt, MD. The facility helps NASA anyway, look, yada yada. And it clearly says here, scientists are using the visible green wavelength of light. The laser facility, hang on, no. Both beams shown coming from 2 different lasers are pointed at NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is orbiting the moon.
Yes, scientists were trying to hit the reflectors on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter for around a decade before finally doing it by using infrared light rather than green light, as in those images there. Now, both of those lasers in the photo are coming from the same facility at the Geophysical and Astronomical Observatory at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt.
Right. It's coming from 2 different lasers. It clearly says that, okay? Now, I wanted to know, straight away, let's just put this image up here, right? This to me is common sense. This is what I say when I say, you just have to look at these things, right?
Yes, you do. And if you'd looked a bit harder in that article, this whole set of videos you've made would not have been made. You'll see what I mean. It's laughable.
So we've got the moon up here, right? And we've got this facility down here, right? So, whatever, right? And that's all we see here. And then we've got another laser light. So, we've got one laser light coming up here, right? It's clearly going to there. And then we've got another one that comes down at just over a right angle. And it stops about there, because that's as far as you can see in the picture. Right.
Okay, first off, it looks like a right angle, but the sky is not a 2D piece of paper. These lasers are coming from the same facility. At most, the land at that facility is 1 kilometre long. At most. So if those lasers are indeed coming from opposite ends of the facility, then the angle between them, coming from the moon, is around 0.00015 degrees. Nowhere near 90.
It's obvious that this laser is supposed to be coming from something on planet Earth, right?
Yes, the same facility.
Because it's 2 lasers pointing at the lunar orbiter. Now, I looked at this and thought, what a load of rubbish. I didn't have to know, I didn't have to see numbers or calculations. Instantly, I know that the distance from here to here is on average 384,000 kilometers, right? So, we've got that distance once. 384, that's the average distance from here to the moon, right? Now, this other one, it has to be exactly the same because it's allegedly coming from planet Earth.
Yes, he's about to do what you think he is about to do. Brace yourselves, everyone.
Now, if this laser beam, it has to be the same length, give or take a gnat's whisker, because it's supposed to be on planet Earth, isn't it? So let's say it comes down here, right? Now I looked at this and went, no, I didn't have this part, but I can see it in my mind.
Well, if you can see it in your mind, that makes NASA wrong, I guess.
And I go, this is ridiculous, right? Because with a right angle, this is a Pythagorean theory. Now, I'd heard about it, but I've never, obviously in my entire life, needed to use the Pythagorean theorem. For what?
Yes, it's quite clear you've not used it, seen as though you've butchered the pronunciation.
But I did, to prove that this is just common sense. So I look it up once, and it says, this was about a right angle, okay? So when you've got a right angle, right, you've got a right angle,
Which we don't have. This poor guy is basing his whole theory off one simple misunderstanding.
it's a right angle, 90 degrees. If you want to know the distance between 2 points, right, coming off of a right angle triangle, or any triangle, in fact, as soon as you know the angle, you can work stuff out.
Then we're talking trigonometric theory. You don't want to go there, my friend.
So the Pythagorean theorem says that with a right angle, this is side A, right? It will be A squared and then B squared equals C squared. So this would be C, right?
Well, at least he has that right.
Now, I want to work out what this distance is, right? So what do? I square this dimension, that length, and that length. Because A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So if I get A and B, so, Alexa, what's 384,000 squared?
384,000 squared is 147,456 million.
Right, oh, fast, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So it's 147 million, 400, no, hang on, was it 147 billion?
Oh my days, this is torture.
Alexa, what's 384,000 squared?
384,000 squared is 147,456 million.
Right, so this distance, which is 384,000 kilometers, because that's the average distance that we are away from the moon, it means that this side is also the same, because this laser, if it's on planet Earth, is also firing at approximately 384,000 kilometers.
He says a lot without actually saying much, doesn't he?
So we've got one side, that's it squared, so we add the other side, which we square as well. We know that they're both coming from Earth, right? And we add them together, and that will give us the length of C. So Alexa, what's 147,456 million divided by 2? Oh no! Alexa, stop!
You would have thought that this guy's realised he can't even give simple instructions to his Alexa, so why bother dabbling in astronomy and such?
Stop! Alexa, what is 147,456?
147 is a number.
Even his Alexa is mugging him off.
Alexa, what's 147,456,000,000 multiplied by 2?
147,456,000,000 times 2 is 294,912,000,000.
912 million. Right. So we know that this squared plus this squared equals that squared. So 294,912,000,000 is A plus B. We know that equals C squared. So now we need to find the square root of that. Alexa,
Brace yourself, Alexa.
what is the square root of 294,912,000,000?
The square root of 294,912,000,000 is 543,058.008.
Now,
And there we go. He did exactly what we thought he was going to do, didn't he? Amusing, right? All because he misunderstood one thing.
that image, that picture, that so-called photograph, right, of two lasers pointing at the moon from planet Earth, right, means, now this is with a right angle, right? Now that angle is further out, which means it's going to be a further distance. I looked at this when that guy dropped the picture, I did some calculations in my head with the distance, and I didn't know what the answer was exactly, so I said, I guarantee you that the end of that laser will be at least 500 and something thousand kilometers away, right?
No, you didn't. You said you had to learn Pythagoras just to figure all this out.
And it was only this morning that I proved that to myself, right? So that image of them bouncing a laser up to the moon twice from two different points on planet Earth is horseradish.
Well, no, it's not. Your interpretation of that angle is horseradish.
When people say, where's your evidence? And I always say, the evidence is staring you in the face. This is exactly what I mean. So it took 20 seconds to learn how to use the Pythagorean theorem, right? And it's really quite easy. But it does, again, prove the amount of horseradish that people believe.
The irony is quite simply amazing, isn't it? This guy thinks he's disproven that entire photo, and as such sending lasers to the moon by misinterpreting one angle and then using Pythagoras' theorem. And the confidence, it's sickening, isn't it? He keeps banging on though.
And the amount of science people think they understand, but they obviously don't. Now, I actually used pi to try and show people the mathematical constant that it proves the sun does not radiate its light.
Oh my word, we have to look at that one too. We have to. Let me know in the comments below if you do want to see that particular one. But for now, we're all done and dusted for another Tinfoil Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed that one. I certainly did. Thanks so much for watching today. As always, it's very much appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share as well if the feeling takes you. Thank you. Just enough time from me to say once again thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Remember, click the link in the description or go to surfshark.com/SimonDan to get 4 months extra free for an unbeatable price with Surfshark. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great few days, a cracking new year, and I'll see you on Friday for another Flat Earth Fail compilation. See you then.